Next tonight, the latest news from the Times World Chess Championship.
National Savings presents Born Free, Tax Free? You proudly watch your savings grow and grow and grow until finally the tax takes a great big bite. Don't let tax swallow your savings. Next time, keep the lot. Invest in tax-free savings from National Savings. For more information, call free on 0500 500 000. National Savings. Security has never been so interesting.
Down on the play school Weebles farm, little children love to muck in. There's always lots to do. They can drop the farmer down the chimney, whee! And play hide and seek with the animals. Boof! And what's happening to the flowers? Come on, piggies, we're going for a ride. That's another busy day on the play school Weebles farm.
How much pressure can you put on the tip of a nail before it breaks? It depends on how you care for it.
Skin Science Update from Vaseline Intensive Care.
I'm Pamela Armstrong, and at Vaseline Intensive Care Research, they've developed a new 2-in-1 hand and nail formula that combines effective nail conditioners and fast-acting moisturizers. So as it softens your hands, it helps keep your nails this strong.
From intensive research comes intensive care.
Jim here didn't believe we could get his work shirt really clean and keep the colours bright. OK, Jim, we said, we'll wash it in Persil Colour and a new Hot Point Aquarius Ultra. Persil Colour has a bleach-free cleaning action, so it washes out stains but not colours, we explained. And Hot Point Aquarius Ultra's precise water and energy controls take care of your clothes. Well, it's certainly clean, he agreed, but is it as bright? Let's ask an independent expert, we said. OK, said Jim. So we did. Persil and Hot Point, as recommended by an expert in the field.
Jeff, love, fancy a cup of tea?
Oh, yes, please, Shell. That'll be lovely.
I wonder if the connoisseur will notice it's PG Tips granules.
I hope not. It was the end of the world when we changed his old slippers.
Pure PG Tips, brewed to perfection, then freeze-dried to capture all the PG Tips taste.
Your favourite cup of tea, just the way you like it.
Ah, thanks, love. Disgusting! That was never a goal. Lovely cup of tea, love.
You're about to see how driving your family in the wet is changing for the better. Introducing Aquatread from Goodyear. With its unique design, it's a natural in water. The deep center channel pumping water away faster for more road contact from Goodyear than ever before. So you can cut through the wet with more confidence than ever before. Aquatread. Safety with style from Goodyear.
The new Volvo 440, airbag included.
Empires rise and fall. Civilizations are destroyed, leaving us riddles and clues. Will our own civilization decline and fall as others have, or will we preserve it? Will we learn from the mistakes of overpopulation, non-renewable agriculture, and genocide? The Riddles of Survival, Equinox, Out of the Past, Sunday at 7 on Channel 4. The scene is set.
Forgive me for being an old skeptic in these matters.
You're slightly trying to have your economic policy and eat.
Are you going to roll over on this, or are you going to confront it?
Order!
This is pretty rough stuff. And they sent blood now, of course, one thing.
You're really saying we should have voted Labour at the last election?
You would say this, wouldn't you?
Wits are being sharpened for a new series of A Week in Politics, starting Saturday at 7 on Channel 4.
In half an hour, jazz at the Smithsonian with Joe Williams. First, the Savoy Theatre is the venue for Game 19 in the Times World Chess Championship.
They've stopped. Something's happened.
I don't know.
What's happened? Did Short resign?
They've agreed a draw.
Have they?
I don't know. I didn't play well with the continuing.
Well, I'm buggered.
The sudden end to Game 19 today took everybody by surprise, especially our commentator, Raymond Keane. A draw agreed by the two players, leaving the Russian world champion still half a point from outright victory. Welcome once again to the Savoy Theatre, where Garry Kasparov was looking for a win to clinch the Times World Chess Championship. A drawn game, however, means that although the Russian does now retain his world title, the match will carry on for one more game at least. Nigel Short forcing the champion to keep his champagne on ice. Another chance on Thursday for Nigel Short to improve his score. Well, with me to look back on all of today's action, Woman International Master Kathy Forbes and Grandmaster Daniel King. Now, Daniel, first of all, there was a lot of pressure on both players today, wasn't there?
Yes, I think Kasparov has been coasting in the last few games, so I think he was anxious to try and go out with a nice win. And of course, Short has to save the match. If Kasparov gets 12.5 points, that's it.
OK, now, Kathy, did everybody expect Kasparov to go for a win? I know we thought he would here.
I think most commentators did expect him to go for a win, and there were hopes among Nigel's fans that perhaps he might get a little over-anxious.
OK, well, let's go back to the beginning of play today. Ray and Daniel commentating at the time.
Well, quickly before a move occurs, I'm going to predict D4.
Hey,
D2
that
to
was
D4.
my prediction.
Well, you could predict it too. There's nothing wrong with being right twice.
So we're predicting pawn to D4, basically because Short has not found a good reply to this pawn to D4 yet.
Wrong
And
again.
Wrong again. There we go. Glad I didn't bet on that one.
I'm sure Carol was thinking E4.
Was, funnily enough.
And Short plays the pawn to E5. So will we get a Scotch opening or the Spanish, the Ruy Lopez? Knight comes to F3, attacking the pawn on E5.
Well, I'm going to predict a Ruy Lopez today. What about you, Daniel? Come on, quickly, before he moves.
Well, again, I hate to agree with you, Ray. That's the problem.
Kasparov's won every Ruy Lopez in this match so far, and he's playing the Ruy Lopez. Yes.
Significantly, in Kasparov's matches with Karpov, when he had to win a game, then Kasparov would always employ the Spanish opening, the Ruy Lopez, moving the bishop out to B5. So
pawn to A6, attacking the bishop.
Pawn comes up, attacking the bishop. And Kasparov has won some beautiful games against Karpov.
And against Nigel Short.
And against Nigel Short. But I was really thinking of those decisive encounters in their previous World Championship matches.
Oh!
That's very interesting.
Very new. Kasparov's played his bishop on B5 back to A4 after it was attacked by pawn to A6, and Short's now played pawn D7 to D6, which is known as the Steinitz defence deferred.
So a very interesting start to the game today. Daniel Kasparov looks surprised at that.
Yes, it's a slightly unusual variation that Short played, but quite a good move, quite a solid opening system for black.
Kathy, good idea for Short to do this on game 19?
Very good idea to surprise Kasparov.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ray Keane then suggested the siesta variation, which didn't quite come off. So we'll now move on to Kasparov's move 9. And you can see the position has changed slightly. And this was his move. He moved his pawn forward there, and we just want to have a look at that again on Fritz.
So he moved his pawn up the board to E5. Now, the idea of this is to split Short's pawns. Now, Short attacked Kasparov's queen, the queen moved back, and now Short has to take this pawn off. Kasparov exchanged queens, and then Kasparov recaptured the pawn. Now, the point of this e5 move was to split Short's pawns before they were in a beautiful compact mass, but look, Short has these doubled c-pawns again. These pawns are potentially very weak indeed, but as compensation for those pawn weaknesses, he does have the advantage of the two bishops, which can be a lethal force, as we've seen before.
OK, do you think it was a good idea then to give up that sort of the pawn structure for the two bishops instead of bishop and a knight?
Well, Nigel seems to love shattered pawn structures, and also I think he's now made it a point of principle that he's going to debate this with Kasparov, my activity versus your pawn structure.
OK, well, the next 10 moves or so saw Kasparov improving his position. Let's rejoin the game. We're Short about to make his 22nd move.
Well, Nigel Short's got a really difficult decision to make here. Kasparov's just taken his rook on d8, and he must decide whether to take back with the bishop on e7 or his rook on e8. And it seems to me that the only safe move here is to take back with the bishop. If he takes with the rook on d8, Kasparov can swoop in with knight e5 to c6.
Oh, he's taken with the rook.
Oh, I find that very surprising.
I think that's extraordinary. If he'd taken with the bishop, I think his position was worse, but possibly tenable. But this allows
a total invasion of his position.
Yeah, knight comes to c6, so the bishop must take the knight, but then the rook flies down and takes the bishop off, and that rook in a superb position.
Well, the key problem is the black pawn on c7. You see that black pawn on c7? I don't see how Short can possibly defend it. It's attacked will be attacked by the rook on e7 and by the bishop on g3.
So we're looking at the knight coming into c6. Now, I think Kasparov must play this to make progress, but it looks like a good move.
There's one other move that might be possible, is to play the knight on e5 to g6. Same idea, opening up the attack from the rook on e1. Can we see the rook on e1? Straight down towards the black bishop on e7. So
yeah, but in that case, after knight g6, you don't need to capture it, and you could simply move the bishop away.
Ah, yes, just oppose bishops. That would be all right for black.
Yeah, so knight c6, this forces Short to take the knight because both rook and bishop are attacked.
Multiply attacked, in fact.
So after knight c6...
he must take.
Short must capture the knight with his bishop. But the knight move has opened up the line for the rook, and he'd come down and take the bishop off. So it's an equal trade, knight for a bishop. But then Kasparov would be left with this fantastic rook on the 7th rank,
which will inevitably win the pawn on c7.
Yeah.
And there's another point to all this. Let's see these moves again. Knight c6, bishop takes c6, rook takes e7. There's also the threat of bishop on g3, going into the vacated e5 square, with a horrible pin against black's knight on f6. I'm really very worried about Short's position here. I think he's going to lose this game. I think Kasparov's going to wrap it up tonight.
I agree. I don't like it. I don't like it at all for Short.
It looks to me as if Garry Kasparov is going to score his 12.5 points tonight, not just retain the title, but win the match and put a total end to Nigel Short's challenge. I'm very pessimistic about this position for Short. The only consolation I can see is that Kasparov himself hasn't decided yet on knight c6. And also, he's used up slightly more time than Short, hasn't he? He's used up an extra 10 minutes, but in a position like this, it's a relatively simple position. I can't see that. I can't see that's going to be crucial.
There it is. He's moved the knight in.
Knight to c6, the move we were expecting.
So Short must capture the knight because the bishop and the rook are attacked. So bishop takes knight, and
absolutely forced.
Rook comes down, taking the bishop, and then the rook is on a superb square where it attacks the pawn on c7.
Let's see if we can find a defence for Nigel Short in this position.
Well, I think he's got to go active.
He can play rook. Let's see.
So bishop takes knight.
Yes.
Rook takes.
Rook d1 check.
Yeah. Rook d1. King comes to h2.
That's at least drives White's king into the corner. I mean, could he then? I mean, one of the things that might save. Can we clear the board? There are a lot of lines. Yes. One of the things that might save Short in this position is the fact that there are opposite colour bishops on the board. Black's got a light squared bishop, white's going to dark square bishop, and it's well known that in such situations with opposite coloured bishops, the draw chances are somewhat increased because the bishops are somehow playing past each other.
But in fact, in this position, I think with rooks and knights on the board, that actually increases the attacking chances.
Yes, it also seems to me that white's bishop is a very powerful piece, and the black bishop, which will come to c6, is really not very aggressive. He's had to take it. Bishop takes knight, of course.
I'm not sure why Nigel was thinking, really.
And now rook takes bishop. That'll come very quickly. Yes. And now we can see the position that we predicted a couple of moves ago, with the white rook on the 7th rank, attacking the black pawn on c7. In addition, the white bishop on g3 slices down towards the pawn on c7. The pawn on c7 is absolutely doomed.
So Short can't save it, but instead he's got to go for some active play. He must find some counterplay. Otherwise, well, but I must admit, this does not look good for Short.
Rook check.
Rook comes down check. So the king, I should think, goes up the board. It's got a safe square there on h2. No problem there.
Yes, he must play that, and he should play it quickly, because he's slightly worse off on the clock, Kasparov. Not quite sure why he's thinking, because if he plays his knight back to e1 to parry the check, the knight becomes pinned, and it's very difficult to pick up the pawn on c7. And if he plays his rook back to e1, the trade of pieces will alleviate a lot of black.
Well, no.
In fact, it would lose a piece.
Rook to e1, then bishop takes f3,
terrible
actually
blunder,
loses a
yes.
piece. So I think Kasparov must play his king to h2, but why not? It's a very safe square. Looks fine for white.
Well, is there somewhere black getting a counter-attack in this position? After he plays his king to h2, could black play his pawn on g5 to g4, for example, to try and molest the white king in some way?
Then knight e5, lethal. The knight comes to e5, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn on f7, attacking the pawn on g4. Well, it's hopeless. Somehow Short has got to find some counterplay. So king to h2. What's Kasparov thinking about?
Could he then, after king to h2, perhaps bring his rook back to d7, offering to trade off rooks, and then after the simplification, he'd only lose the pawn on c7, and maybe the opposite bishops in the ending would give him some chances.
Not pleasant though. I mean, not pleasant.
He's played
trying to
king
defend that
h2.
position. King h2, as expected.
Well, I must say, I think Short's position looks very critical here. I wouldn't like to be in his shoes at all, and it looks to me as if Garry Kasparov is going to score his final win tonight, and not just retain the title, but clinch the whole match in his favour.
Well, as we know, that wasn't to be, but Kathy, the position not looking good for Short at that point.
No, it was looking terminal, really. I mean, white is just threatening to charge into black's position with his knight, and none of black's options looked at all appetising.
OK, well, let's see how Short did manage to improve his position. Let's have a look at his 25th move. And on this, he moved his knight to e4. And we'll have a look at that again on Fritz, Daniel.
So knight to e4, well, that's a good start to try and get counterplay. What he's doing is trying to attack the pawn and the bishop down here, and the knight here can join in some kind of attack on white's king, as we'll see later. But still, we were not very optimistic. Kasparov simply captured the pawn on c7, attacking this bishop here, and well, a pawn up, attacking the bishop, it still looks like a fantastic position for Kasparov.
Still very complicated, though, not at all clear.
Yeah, more complicated, but still very good for white.
All right, then. After the break, we'll show you the end of today's game, an interview with both players and the results of our chess competition. So we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Can't be too careful these days, you know.
Don't worry about the car, Mrs. Jones. It's you we want to look after.
This Escort is protected by Safeguard, an electronic key which locks the ignition and fuel system with a code that has over 49.3 billion combinations. The Ford Escort. It's got what it takes.
This hi-fi is driving me crazy. It's got me beaten, I guess. They said it was state-of-the-art, not some screwball intelligence test. I can't figure out all those buttons. I feel like they're laughing at me. I'd have a word with my analyst, but I still haven't paid his last fee. I hate to admit I can't do it. It's hard to make such an admission. I better just recharge my batteries and call for a young electrician.
There's always time for a bowl of Heinz.
Go for it! Persil proudly presents the new Persil FunFit Collector program. Collect FunFit tokens from special Persil packs and get free games equipment. Collect them now for your playgroup or school. Collect FunFit tokens for anything, from a tumbling mat to a climbing frame. The Persil FunFit Collector program. Go for it!
Shocked by rising motor insurance prices? See if the AA can give you a better deal. Call free on 0800 444 777 for your free quote tomorrow.
Mum, can Chloe stay for tea?
I bet Dad'll want one now.
It's not my birthday, is it?
It's not your birthday, is it?
British pork. Take a fresh look.
I'll show her who's boss. If I want to go to football, I shall go to football. I'm not staying in with her exercise video and her Tom Jones records. And she can keep her British gas fire with its warm, cosy glow and its controllable, comforting, homely, cuddly.
What's new, pussycat?
I thought you were going to football.
What? A missing evening with Tom? Don't you just love being in control?
Welcome back. We last saw Nigel Short marginally improving his position, but Kasparov still threatening Short's bishop on c6. Let's rejoin the game now with Short considering his 26th move.
So here we have the position after Kasparov's 26th move. Rook takes pawn on c7. And Kasparov has won a whole pawn. He's an entire pawn up. But Nigel Short has some compensation for it. His rook on d1 has penetrated White's camp, is very active. The knight on e4 is also aggressively placed. But there is a problem with the black bishop on c6. It's attacked, and Short has to find a good square for it.
So, Short to play. His bishop here attacked by the rook. So, possible squares. Well, it seems... I think it would be extraordinary if he moved his bishop back to the corner. But it's not impossible.
I think Kasparov could just attack it again with rook a7 if you play bishop
Indeed.
a8.
I think it's more likely that he'll play the bishop back to d7. Now,
turning the key on the white rook.
The rook can't take the bishop because the rook on the back rank will simply capture. So the bishop can move here because it's defended by black's rook. So that blocks off the rook's attack down to f7. So bishop d7 is possible.
And what if Kasparov in reply simply played his rook on c7 to a7 and tried to clean off more black pawns?
Indeed. I'm slightly concerned about that. So moving the rook there, threatening to take another pawn. I think Short needs to drum up some attacking chances on this side of the board where he has his rook and his knight actively placed.
They've stopped. Something's happening.
I don't know.
What's happened? Did Short resign?
They've agreed a draw.
Have they?
I don't know. I didn't play well with the continuing.
Well, I'm buggered. Are you sure they agreed a draw?
Bishop d7.
This is extraordinary. Why did Kasparov agree a draw?
Well, he had agreed a draw, and Kasparov had then amassed the magical 12 points, which means that he's now successfully defended his title, but he still needs another half a point to win the £1 million purse. Well, immediately after the game, I asked a very tired-looking Garry Kasparov if he was pleased to have retained his title.
Yes, but it didn't happen just by accident. I had enough points the first 9 games, and it was quite obvious that if I did make too many mistakes, I would retain it. And yes, I'm quite pleased, but I expected it would be better.
You expected to have more points? Bigger
Yeah, after
difference?
game 9, I had some reasons to expect, but it's not easy to play having such a big lead, and even today, I was not very much satisfied with my performance. I just did quite well, but not with great inspiration.
Because the last 10 games, in fact, points-wise, have been exactly equal between you, haven't they? Yeah. What about that, Nigel? Do you think that the second half really has been a great improvement for you, hasn't it?
Well, it's obviously some cause for satisfaction, because my start to the match was disastrous. I think Garry played very well in some of those early games, and but I think I found my stride much more, and I've been quite content with my play over the last number of games.
Okay, you both look extremely tired, I must say, but let's talk about today's game. Nigel, the Steinitz defence deferred,
Yes.
almost a romantic opening, would you say?
Well,
going back quite some time in chess history.
Was the first world champion, so I have to learn something from the old masters.
Absolutely. You look surprised by that opening, Garry.
Yes, I mean that opening is not a big guess, on the top level, and I was trying to remember some very sharp lines, because obviously Black was trying just to go for some big complications, and I just decided, just because of the match situation, to go for the quiet, just for the quiet end game. I hoped to get some advantage, but I didn't play well.
Do you think Nigel has played extremely well against you during this match?
Oh, he definitely played better the second half of the match, but also I have to point out that it's the level of the game depends on both players, and I just believe that the problems that Nigel had to solve in the second half of the match were a little bit softer than in the beginning.
Would you agree with that, Nigel?
Well, I've had an easier time of things, let's put it like that.
So that's a partial agreement. Now, Garry, as you know, obviously 12 points, he's retained his world title. You must be disappointed about that, but is Thursday going to be important for you?
Well, I think I've got the white pieces, and I always enjoy having the white pieces, so no, we'll just see what
Not
happens.
an anticlimax for you on Thursday, then?
Well, I mean, I would like to cause this guy some damage.
Okay.
I mean, it's true that even if I win this particular game, then my situation is not terribly good. But no, I hope to play a good game on Thursday.
Okay, on Thursday, Garry, it's almost £250,000 riding on your next half a point. Is this the major motivation for you, or will it be?
No, it's major motivation just to finish the match, and I think I'll try just to finish this match without too much damage for my final standing.
Okay, both of you, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Both players referring there to the amount of damage that one can cause the other. But Kathy, Kasparov very cautious in his play over the last few games.
Yes, I think he really looks very tired, and he hasn't felt like taking any risks, which are always involved when you're trying to really put the guy away and kill him.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the end position, because that position wasn't terribly clear, was it, Daniel?
Not at all. I mean, we really were amazed that they agreed to draw. Didn't expect it at all. Still thought Kasparov was better, although Kasparov was actually very worried. That looks like the most likely move, bringing the bishop back, because it cuts off the rook. The rook comes over to attack the pawn. This is just one sample variation.
Okay, this isn't what happened, but what could have happened.
This is by no means forced play. Rook takes the pawn. Pawn comes down. Now Short has to drum up an attack against White's king. Knight attacked. Knight comes down. Bishop comes out. Now, the knight checks the king. King comes back. And, well, if the knight, for instance, moves away here, check. King moves back again. Knight moves, whoops, I'll move the rook, so that's a mistake. The knight moves back, check.
Unforced, as you say.
Yeah,
then.
they repeat the position.
Okay, so that could have been perpetual check then.
Yeah, but that's only one sample line. But that's an example of the kind of attack that Short can drum up. I was just so surprised that Kasparov didn't play it on.
Okay, well, a draw has been agreed in game 19. So let's now have a look at our chess competition, which we asked you to send in your entries for. Let's just have a review of the questions and we'll give you the answers this time. Now, question 1. This was it. What is Garry Kasparov's favourite opening? And the answer there is the Roy or the Re or the Ri, however you pronounce it, Lopez anyway. Lots of debate on how you pronounce that. Question 2, how many moves does each player have to make in their first 2 hours? The answer is 40 moves in 2 hours. And question 3 was in 2 parts. This was the question. And the first part, with which move did he decline the gambit? And part B, which move would have accepted the gambit? And the answers there, move 2, e6, and move 2, d takes on c4. And these are the winners. Now, the winner is Susan Parry. Many congratulations to Susan. She wins ChessBase and Fritz software, as seen in the studio here. And all of the runners-up receive copies of Kasparov's Gambit, another piece of software. And almost, we believe, 10,000 entries for this, and every single person who entered will receive a free copy of Chess Monthly. So thank you very much for entering that competition, and congratulations to all the winners. Now, Kathy, £250,000 almost resting on a half a point. Obviously, he's got to go for it, hasn't he, on Thursday?
It's a lot of money, but I have to say that I think Kasparov has nobler motivations in life than money. He, for instance, gave away previous prize monies he'd had in 1986. He gave away part of his prize money to the Chernobyl victims. He also donated a trophy to help victims of war in his own country. But on the other hand, £250,000 is always nice to have, I suppose.
A very generous man, obviously.
I think so.
OK, well, thank you both very much. We'll see you again on Thursday. We'll be back 3:30 live on Channel 4, 8 o'clock, and with the late night show. Now, once a championship has been won, there will be a speed chess challenge, so don't stop watching Channel 4. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
A Channel 4 book entitled An Introduction to the Times World Chess Championship 1993 by Raymond Keane is available from most bookshops, priced £2.50.
Tomorrow at 9, Dispatches takes you where the cameras can't go, reconstructing the hearings that are revealing the secret workings of Whitehall as never before. Saddam Hussein's army was equipped with weapons made on British machinery. The government say they shouldn't have been sent. Whitehall ensured that they were. As the Scott inquiry reaches the halfway point, Dispatches examines the facts behind the Arms to Iraq scandal.
After the break, jazz singer Joe Williams demonstrates why he rose to stardom with Count Basie and his orchestra.
Can you really afford to splash out on a new car this autumn? With 0% finance now available on any new Micra, Primera or Sunny.
You can with a Nissan.
Drop into your local dealer.
When you go to sleep, thousands of night workers go to work. And so does new Mentadent Night Action toothpaste. Brushing with Night Action before bed helps neutralize harmful daytime plaque acids. Helps replace essential minerals lost during daytime acid attack, and goes on helping to protect your teeth until morning. Night Action from Mentadent. Toothpaste your teeth would choose.
Nature suggested. Timotei perfected. New Timotei minerals. Massage to invigorate. Giving hair new movement. New volume. Timotei Mineral Shampoo. Suggested by nature, perfected by Timotei.
Did you know Rally makes bikes? For team champions and teeny champions? Just tell them a little bird told you.
New Studio. Up, up, up. New volume up for curly hair and straight hair. Spray new volume up. Up with the vertical diffuser. Deep into your hair. Spray volume up. From roots to tips. Long-lasting volume. Volume with lift. Everyone has volume up. New Studio line volume up from L'Oreal for straight and curly hair.
Film on 4 premiere, presenting Adrian Dunbar and Ned Beatty in...
Hear my song. Joseph Locke. What is it? He's a bigger draw than the Pope.
Joe Locke's a wanted man.
Jim Abbott, Chief Constable.
I know he's here, Felton. I've lost my money, my business, my friends, the girl I love.
Hear My Song opens a new season of Film on 4 premieres on Thursday at 10.
Now hear the famous songs and vocal talent of Joe Williams at the Smithsonian.